Welcome to another exciting show. Now, we've got some technical difficulties tonight, and then I kept going off air and on air and whatever. And so what I'm doing, we've got Shannon on tonight, John Hamer, and Yorkshire Deb. So if anything goes wrong, you know, it's the technical difficulties, because Microsoft updated my computer the other day automatically, as they do, and I think that might be the cause of the problem. So tonight I'll introduce everybody, but first of all, we've got some call outs to do. And the first call out is to Sue Jordan, and it's her birthday today. And I did one of my homemade cards. We won't talk about that. And she thanked me very much for it. And Sue Jordan is the lady that bought me this beautiful glass, which says Eric von Essex. And people will say, is this piss that I've got inside here? Well, with the lights, it does look like piss, but actually it's water, H2O. So without further ado, it's Sue Jordan's birthday today, and the crystal lady, Hayley, is her birthday tomorrow on the 24th. So happy birthday, Sue, and happy birthday, Hayley, for tomorrow, who's in Mexico at the moment. So yeah, I don't know how to speak Mexican, so there we go. So first of all, we'll introduce all our guests. So first of all, it's Shannon. Good evening. Oh, sorry. Good morning, Shannon, because it's morning.
No, well, it's noon, but
noon.
I do get up a lot earlier than noon, personally. but yes, good evening to you all. Thanks
and we've got Yorkshire Deb. Hello, Yorkshire Deb.
Hello.
Hey up. And then, of course, in Scarbados, we've got John Hamer. Hey.
Hey up.
Hey up. Hey,
hey up, I knows.
And all that. So shall we go into the chat first of all, and then we go over to what we're going to talk about, which we should have done last week, but Shannon was suffering from insurance agent, I believe. And,
no, I think that was the week before. I've had to postpone this twice. Yeah, I had some allergy, like just hay fever last week. I wasn't really well. Although, no, you may be right. Maybe
that's a terrible affliction, that, isn't it?
Yes, but actually, I'm realizing it may have been both.
Just saying.
I think you're the one causing the
terrible affliction, insurance agent.
Yes, John. I'm sorry. I just want to say I think your audio is the one maybe causing the problem.
What is
the feedback problem? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's you, John.
This might be you.
Well, let me mute then.
Do you want to try? I would try coming on and off again. Sorry, everybody, for this, but
we'll just have to lip read it.
I mean, oh, great.
Well, first of all, shall we have a quick shufty in the old butcher's hook? You know what that is, Shannon, don't you? You've been to Limey Lane, didn't you? You know what butcher's hook is. And look,
what?
So we got what we got.
Light on. That's it.
I mean, we got a lot of people in chat tonight. Hello, everyone in chat. And Sebastian, he says, we are ready for the 4-3-2, Chris and the team. That's good. That's it. And you was going to be actually Deb and Sebastian. I've got an apology to make because you was going to be what was it? Look in chat. What you call it? Moderators.
Yeah.
Doing it. So we'll get around to it one day, you know. Then we've got Bob Olio. Hello, Bob. I won't read out the thing for obvious reasons because of YouTube censorship, but yes, I think the K should be left out of the word. Okay. And we've got another one from yes.
I'll on to it.
Yeah, another one I can't read out. Then we've got V. McCrinnan, who's in Bath. Not actually in the bath, but in a place called Bath. You know, don't doing the old washing. You know. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the reminder. Oh, that's nice.
He's in Bristol.
and we've got Adam Adamant, and I'm old enough to remember the television program, and it's evening everyone. Let's have a serious show with no monkey business. Then we got Viva Credit. I like that one. I won't read it out. Right, and we got here. Where we got? We got Joe Weeks. Hello, Joe. Evening,
Hello,
everyone. Here we go.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Joe. Hi, guys and girls. And that's nice. Here we go. And well, I think we go back to chat a little bit later. So what we actually hang on, let's turn this one on. Here we go. So what we're going to talk, well, what Shannon's going to talk about tonight, that was a slight sort of, not quite, what I put on was a number station. That was the introduction. And that was the Swedish Rhapsody, what was it, Rhapsody, I think it is. And I remember one which was like the woodpecker. It goes,
Yeah.
and my dad was really into shortwave radio. He used to tune into these things,
Right.
and some of them were really weird. But
Yeah.
what you're going to talk about, Shannon, is music,
different
the way-
kind of frequency music.
Yes, so far away. Over to you, Shannon.
All right. Well, okay. First, I want to say I'm not an expert about this. I am a musician, but I didn't ever have any formal training. So I've done a lot of study on this recently, though. I first got interested in the whole concept of. So let me just back up. I'll explain that. Obviously, most of your audience may know this already. If they don't, though, I want to just reach everybody here. But 440 is our standard tuning that it's called concert pitch that musicians use. Well, in the Western world of music anyway, that has been standard since there's a few theories. There's already confusion about when it got standardized officially, but I think in practice, it definitely came into its own as a standard by the 50s. Right. So 440 was chosen. I still don't really, I'm not really clear by whom, but obviously these officials on these committees and the conferences or whatever deciding this stuff for us, not necessarily musicians. But there was definitely, I guess, a need arose because of the Industrial Revolution kind of, ushered in the manufacturing of instruments en masse. And so then there was a need for a standard to choose from, just to like make everything easier. But why it became 440, and there's some ideas I have about that. But 432 is another tuning that is being used as an alternate, which a lot of people are saying now, musicians and also just in the alternative community, you could say, or sound healers are saying this is like a better frequency to use. But what I'm finding is that this whole topic is just mired in misinformation and it's confusion. So that's what fascinates me about it the most, actually, is just how crazy it is. I actually heard about this at least 10 years ago. And I was actively involved in playing music, and it's a picture of me with a guitar at a one performance I was in. So I heard about this and I decided to try 432. And I've stuck with it ever since, just because I like the lower pitch. It's easier to sing to, and I just find it more comfortable. But I also tried 444, which is this other supposed alternate tuning.
Right.
And I didn't like it so much. And that's one thing I definitely want to touch on, because I think that's one I will personally say, do not tune 444 is what I'm going to say. And that's because I think that's the planted sort of misinformation. That's the so there's this Dr. Joel Horowitz. I don't know. Have you heard of him, Deb, or anybody heard of him?
No, I don't.
Okay, so he's not really he uses his doctor title, but he was a dentist. So
Right.
he doesn't really. He's not a musician.
Len Horowitz.
Horowitz, yeah. So
Shannon.
Yeah.
Len, well, I've met Len actually. Just dropping, but yeah, I met Len.
him.
And I had dinner with him actually.
You did.
I had dinner with him.
When was that?
I did in London. 2009 in London. It's a conference. Yeah.
Did you? I'm not going to say very nice things
it's a
about
nice
him.
guy, actually.
What?
It doesn't matter. I mean, I found him very nice, but you know, I obviously only met him very briefly. You know, only for a couple of hours. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing.
No sex stuff.
He's definitely aligned himself with like the truth community, and you know, like he's against 440, which is fine, but what he proposes instead is this 444, which isn't so good. It's not harmonious at all. The scale. So he, you know, he's the main voice behind. I don't know if he personally came up with it. I think he might have with some colleague of his or friend of his, called Solfeggio scale.
Yes.
And yeah, it's supposed to be this ancient scale or whatever tied to the Bible, but there's just zero evidence that that's true. And he doesn't understand anything about music theory, so he doesn't even have a proper scale. Like the frequencies he lists as being part of this scale don't make any sense musically.
Right.
And they don't, because you have to have, there's something called temperament. So I want to explain first the difference between tuning and temperament. So tuning is the pitch. So when we say like 440 or 432, we're talking about tuning to A at that frequency. So it's not, the other notes in the scale are going to be at different frequencies from that. Right. So, and so Deb, you're saying yes a lot. So I don't even know. Do you have a background in music and sound? You kind of.
No, but I know sort of the basic. Yeah.
Okay, I just don't know. I mean, just tell me if you know something I don't, or I'm like I said, I'm kind of amateur at this, so I'm still learning about theory, and it's a little bit complex. But what I've understood is that temperament refers to the intervals between the notes in the scale. And so you can have these placed differently depending on the temperament. And so what we use today in standard tuning is called even temperament. And it consists of 12 notes. Is that right? What am I saying? 12 notes and the scale. Yeah, at 12, I need to look at this again, but 12 something with the intervals. I've already gotten confused about it, but right. So it's called like the 12, sometimes called 12 something temperament, even temperament. And any case, it's not the best, it's not the most harmonious, but it's the easiest to use because what it does is allows musicians to play in different keys without retuning their instruments.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's like the one that I think that goes with the 440. And so that I think was chosen just because of convenience, not necessarily for being the most what we say consonant. So you have dissonance and consonance in music, and so consonance is what sounds best to our ear, and dissonance sounds like, so you can have something very dissonant and very consonant. What Chris started the show with was very dissonant, so it doesn't sound good, doesn't feel good. So that's a good example. And there's reasons for dissonance happening, and it has a lot to do with, it can have to do with tuning and temperament, you know, both. But so these are tied together intrinsically, and we used to have there were different temperaments that were used before even temperament, and there were different tunings. So it's really, anybody who's saying that 432 was the ancient tuning or whatever, that's not true. I mean, there were times when people used, I mean, we can't know that too, but any instruments we've had that we've found that are ancient, they don't show any signs of having been tuned to 432. And we do have evidence that in the 18th and 19th centuries that there was some, not exactly 432 sometimes, but like 430, you know, some things that are close to that. And there were definitely lower pitches than 440. 440 was used at times as well, or something close to that. So there's been a range of tunings in pitch and range of temperaments. But if you want to use 432, you really want to use it with the Pythagorean temperament, which is the perfect fifths. So even, it's like there's an even space between each note, whereas the fifth, the Pythagorean is called perfect fifths, the intervals. Right. So it sounds better, but you're limited in terms of what you can play in, basically, in the key and everything. So and nobody really can play in that now because the instruments aren't made that way. So that's the other aspect of this. So I can tune my guitar to 432, but I can't play in Pythagorean temperament because of where the frets are and how the fretboard is made.
Right.
So that my guitar was made for 440, and these are all, I mean, I think with guitars, you might be able to get 432. I mean, people are getting interested in this now, musicians are, because I think it is pleasanter sounding. They want to experiment with it. So there's some movement going on to manufacture instruments in 432. But the point is that there was a lot of variation in the pitches and a variation in temperaments. There was something called mean tone temperament that was used for a long time. Pythagorean was used. There's something called just intonation that was proposed and had been used. So the most recent has been the 440 and has been even temperament. And it's kind of tied to like mass manufacturing of everything, manufacturing of music, manufacturing of instruments, so it's not like the best quality necessarily. Now, whether or not it's made intentionally to disrupt us and to be disharmonious is the other question. And that's kind of the conspiracy out there. And Horowitz is one of the people backing that. I wouldn't totally disagree with that. I mean, I would definitely question it in terms of like, it's probably not the best for us. So why didn't we choose something better? Again, it was convenience over quality, which we've done in all kinds of aspects of our lives in recent years. So it's not just music. But what's curious to me is the when I've been studying gematria, a bit in recent years, and the coding of language with numbers, and symbolically, 44 hasn't been used for good things, like the word, I think, like kill and murder and evil and all these kind of words are 44. They translate to so right there, it's kind of like that grabs me, that has meaning to me. That doesn't seem right, but 444 isn't better. And the problem with 444 is the frequencies that it produces on a scale are like very disharmonious, and it's actually much worse than 440. You can't play music with it. So the fact that this guy is going around promoting it as the healing scale or something, and that you should, that people are buying tuning forks at these frequencies and using them. I mean, there's this whole movement in sound healing, which is, it's sad because I think that a lot of people have been taken in. I was taken in. I remember trying some of those, YouTube videos with meditations and things. And so it's tricky because, and he's behind this idea that the Nazis came up with the 440, and that's when it standardized, was that but again, this isn't something you can verify. And I've seen evidence that it was proposed as a standard before the Nazi Party, was in existence. So I don't know if they had anything to do with it or not. What I don't like is that he is acting like this is all factual when it's easy to tear it apart and see that there is no evidence to support any of these ideas that he's bringing forward. So. But he aligns himself with like the anti-jab movement and things that, I mean, I'm totally on board with. But and I would say probably 440 again isn't the best thing. But what he's proposing as the alternate, I would highly question. And so that's what I've gotten out of this recently and studying it in further. But anyway, I mean, maybe he comes across a nice guy. Again, it's tricky. And we have to be really careful, I think. And it's a good lesson just to like really do research things deeply instead of just on the surface, because you can easily be misled and people can seem like nice people who are doing, and he might not be I mean, as far as I know, I don't know anybody who's proposed it before him, some of this scale and everything, but so I'd be suspicious of him in particular, especially because he doesn't like people criticizing him, and he will like tear them apart. He'll write articles about them, really attack people who have and not just have a discussion and debate about it. So, I would question that right there. But so that's kind of the gist of it. I mean, I can go into a little more detail about if anybody's interested. I don't know who wants to hear what I've dug up about the history of the tuning and everything. But,
well, if I could just sort of interject there, shall we have a break and go into chat for a little while? Would that be all right, Shannon?
Sure.
And the thing is that hello, that's all right. We had a troll in, and the troll's come back again. So
lovely.
Again, it's come back. That's it. Oh. Refreshing the page. Oh, okay. Sorry, the troll it's gone. But what I was going to say is we've got some interesting things in chat. We've got here V. McCrinnan, who says, only since the 1930s and 40s via Rockefeller. Now, I've got a little something to say about that, so hold tight a little while. And then I like this one. Was it Dan MC? Trust me, I'm a drummer.
Drummer.
A drummer, yes. Right, now we've also got some, it's very nice of people saying, this is Kevin that's reminded me to say, people,
Yes.
please hit the like button. So if you could kindly hit the like button, that's very, very kind of you. Thank you very much. And we've got Town Crier, which
Hello.
got a tangent for a while, maybe on a show with the chap who runs the, now I'm not political, but I do show people's different views in that.
Yeah.
And from the English Constitution Party.
Right.
And he's going to be explaining the difference between being English and British.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big difference.
There is.
And very, very interesting what they got to say. And he's Graham, the chap who runs the English Constitution Party. He has got a huge following. So we'll probably be on there. And I've also got something to say about what's going to happen this Wednesday, but that's coming up a little bit later near the end of the show. So that's going to be rather exciting. And then we've got, who we got here? So, and we got Kim. Hello, Kim. It's the Bart Flower lady. So hello, Kim. What she doesn't know about natural remedies is not worth knowing. What she does, it's absolutely brilliant natural remedies, and better than a doctor, I'd say. So it's great. Here we go. And we got here, what was it? Breaking the 8 ritual. Now, I don't know what that is. So you would probably know what that is, Shannon. And we got and it says it's similar to the choice of unhealthy disharmonies frequencies for our power system. Now that's very, very interesting. And we've got here John Basington, the old blame it on the Nazis routine. That's it. It's naughty Nazis.
My suspicion. Yeah, I felt that too.
And, it's always a naughty Nazis.
Could I just say that Len Horowitz, who he's speaking about, is a Jehovah's Witness. So, not really, but you know what I mean. That's people beginning with a J. So that figures, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, really, it's like when you look at all this information online, it always traces back to him as the source. Like when people source it, that's where it goes to. So, and I think he obviously has some powerful backing to be like all over the internet with this for so long and dominating this narrative. So that's suspicious already. I mean, it's like I said, really not welcoming of any criticism or open for debate about it. So,
well, going back to what John Basington said, and that is the old blame it on the Nazi routine. Many years ago, I saw before the BBC became political, although it always has been political, but before it became political correctness and all this nonsense, there was it's either BBC or Channel 4, it doesn't really matter, but there was a documentary about how sound affects people.
Yes.
And it wasn't, I don't think it was called the CIA in those days, but in the 1940s, shall we say the American Secret Service.
The OSS.
Sorry?
The OSS.
OSS. They did experiments and they found OSS.
Yeah,
and
the Office of Strategic Services. Yeah.
Thanks, John. That's much appreciated. And what they did, they found that when they played Benny Goodman's music, he was a Jehovah's Witness as well, I think. And the teenagers, when they set it to a certain frequency at a dance hall, teenagers started tearing up the seats and throwing them on the stage. And they didn't understand the reason why. And they looked into how it controls people's minds. And you actually saw that somebody filmed it. You see these teenagers going absolutely doolally whilst Benny Goodman's playing his, I think it was Sing, 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 which was very odd because it increased their heartbeat and it did something to them. And you see all these teenagers going, and this was what, 1940s, I think, 1945, 46, sometime right there. So that is something I remember. But I had a little research on the internet before this program started. I couldn't really see much about it, so I don't know if it's been
The one that I remember is a few years ago where they played, was it a mosquito noise to get rid of gangs of kids outside shops?
That's right. They do it outside supermarkets.
But we can't. You can only hear it within like between the ages of 14 and 16 or something.
Correct. And you notice you don't see kids hanging around supermarket shops and places like that now, where they used to.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting. I don't know, they probably do it in America as well, but
I've not heard of that. But I do know that I do know that I've been reading about digital addiction as well, and gaming addiction, and that they actually design these games to increase heart rate and and body temperature and everything, and stress levels. So they actually like physically measure, test subjects before they release it, and they want a certain level of adrenaline. They want to see like the blood pressure and heart rate increase, a certain amount, and it's intentional. And they're definitely using music and those games as well. And I always find video game music really disturbing.
Yeah.
Personally, and it's like I think it's meant to be agitating. But I want to say about the 440 that the thing about the frequency, this tuning is that there's so much more involved in music than just that. I mean, I think that's part of it, but it's like you can't perfectly tune to a frequency anyway when you're talking about musical instruments. I mean, you're always going kind of in and out, and so it's not like that precise. So a lot of other things matter too. And I think the intention behind the music and if you think about, we've been using the standard so long, and we know that so many different kinds of music have been made with it, and some of them affect how the different effects we have on our, on emotional states. So it definitely matters, like you have hard rock versus, classical or something mellow or, relaxing. I mean, there's so much you can still do within that. And again, there's no real perfect pitch happening. So, but I think that, other things that factor in are like how we're listening to the music, even just using a speaker system alters that, the energy of the frequencies of the actual electronics and versus digitized or synthesized, sound. So if you are using like a guitar, wood instrument or whatever kind of instrument, and you're having a live performance, then obviously that's going to have a totally different effect on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Chris was saying, I think they definitely, it is by design, certain kinds of music, whatever its, pitch is designed to agitate, and very possibly 440 aids in that process for sure. But yeah, I would say so.
Right. Well, that's interesting because we got here Sebastian Moran, Skull. So raise a glass, Skull. Yes. I'll have to send you a tea bag, Sebastian, so you can have a drink on me. How's that? Yeah. And now we got here. Oh, that's very kind. That's his Bob up in the independent state of Rugby, which is surrounded by England here.
Yeah.
Stop monkeying around and smash the like button. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. Now we got here, this is V. McCrinnan. Is that Roger Hayes, Eric? Yeah, I remember Roger Hayes. He was the one that insulted the estate agents. I was so saddened to see that. And as town crier, cheeky sod, give me a quick plug. Hello, town crier. By the way, I won't give you so much turkey tomorrow if that's the case, because I'm going along to Miles and I'm cooking them all a lunch. So we're going, town crier says, we are going to be outside GB News on Saturday. Hey, good luck to you. With our English independence banner. So there we go. So that's it. And so actually I've nailed him to it now. He's going to have to come on the show, isn't he?
Yeah.
Bob Hollyoak is the sea and bird song relaxes me. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
So the wind rustling to the tree, and tell you what gets you off to sleep, rain. When you hear rain outside, that gets me off to sleep.
Yeah.
Now we've got here Dan Operation Red Mist. And Robbie Green has got an interesting point. That old chestnut, blame it on the teenagers. Yes. Now we've got here V. McCrinnan. because Benny Goodman was 16 fast beat. Now that's interesting. Yes. I don't understand.
The beats per rhythm the beats per minute matters as well, right? There's tempo. There's all these different aspects involved in music. Another thing about like tuning for anything, people just used to tune by ear, and that's always going to be more natural and harmonious to like what feels right to us. And this whole moving toward a standard at all and using instruments, and whether it be a tuning fork or digital meter, you are going away from that idea of just kind of seeing what feels right. So yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting because Sebastian's come up with a good one, and that is Count Basie was dodgy music.
Oh,
that's interesting.
And now, what's Count Basie?
Now, hi all. This is the Kingston Whitler. Hello. I can't obviously read this out fully, so he says, "Hi all. I feel that I may have the as I have spent the entire day sat in a tire, eating bananas, flinging my poo."
Nice.
People.
That's normal day for people.
Sean Hamer says Lucifer is the god of music. That's interesting. And
Apollo was the Roman god or Greek god of music, wasn't he?
Yes.
Apollo.
Yeah.
Was it food? Remember that group that did a record called "If Music Is the Food of Love, Prepare for Indigestion"? Do you remember that one? Small Faces. Now we got here Town Cry. What we having with our turkey? Well, it's all done in very hygienic in my kitchen. And you can have a few flies in it. Oh no, I'll pick them out. Now you can have carrots, no potatoes, because Miles says mustn't have potatoes. There's no potatoes, but you have got sweet potatoes, Swede, hello, and
Yorkshire pudding.
No, we're not allowed to have that because it's wheat, isn't it? So we can't have that. But I might smuggle some in the back.
Oh, you can't have Yorkshire pudding.
Can't have Yorkshire pudding. We're down south here, and gravy, nice bit of gravy with it, and what else? Ooh, loads of other vegetables as well. Broccoli, that'd be in there. Peas. No, I didn't pea in it. It's just peas. That's it. So you happy with that? You're gonna come along then? Now I'm taking it over to the shop in food flasks, so it should be nice and warm. There we go. Now we got here Sean Hamer says the Lord of the Dance. So there we go. Then we got here what about the collapsed kids at the gig in USA quite recently? Some rap where the C is silent at the beginning of the word, isn't it? Rap. Putting food got food on the brain. Putting bad out. Got the name. Vax only entry.
I remember, but I can't remember.
Vacuum cleaners linked. Dan, that's a very interesting point. That is an interesting point. Yeah, that I agree with you there. Go down the Strand and have a banana. Have a banana. Sebastian, yeah, I agree. I booted him off, mate, and he came back again and booted him off again. Right, these people are raving lunatics. Just shows, this is Kevin Keener, shows you the limit they have in their gene pool to breed. Oh, this is a troll. Remember, a troll a day helps you work, rest, and play. So there we go. Oh, yum yum! Yeah, you ain't bleeding tasted it, yeah. I'm not exactly Fanny Craddock, because that was the old saying on Fanny Craddock's program. Because you wouldn't know about her. She was a famous, very rude cook on television in the sort of 60s until about the 80s, and she had a bloke who was very posh called Johnny, and and there's a line that he said in the 50s apparently, and said, you know this one, John, don't you? Yes,
she'd been training how to cook donuts.
Yes, sir.
And he said, at the end he said, "Yes, everyone, and I hope all your donuts turn out like Fanny's." And just for Shannon's benefit, I think she might know this, but Fanny is a very different meaning in English to American English.
It's not the bottom. It's the front.
It's not the bottom.
No.
Is it another?
It's the front bottom.
It's the other bottom. Ah.
And you know that bloke? Who was he? He was in the Gun series. What was his name now? I can't think. He made fame in Forbidden Planet. Canadian actor. He's a comedian. Was it? Acted the part of Dremel the detective. What's it now?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Sorry.
Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah,
he came on now. He'd been in Britain loads and loads and loads. Sorry, England. Sorry, town crier. Loads and loads of times. So he knew our slang, and he said, "Well," he said, someone just touched her on the fanny, and on the live program said, "You can't say that. You can't say that." And he did that differently. I know, because he'd been in this country long enough to know what. Yeah. So now we got here. This is an interesting one.
I love that song. I love that music as well.
That rate of beats arousal, regardless of style of music, even classical. The Flight of the Bumblebee is a perfect example.
That's true. A lot of classical music, makes me very agitated. I mean, just saying classical. I shouldn't say that when I mean to say something, that's harmonious or relaxing or something, because there's all kinds of classical music. But that's actually true. And that actually, if I could say something about the dissonance and consonance again, because that reminds me that, so the definition of this is really that when it says when two tones sound together, they can range from perfect consonance to extreme dissonance. So dissonance is produced by beats, actually, that's the interference between the positions of sound waves. It's the found maximum occurs. This is super interesting. I mean, I'll explain why, but when the rate of beats between the two tones is about 33 per second. Now we have the number 33, which you guys probably all know the significance of 33.
Yeah.
Right. So that is the maximum dissonance occurs. Think about that. When the rate of the beats is between the two tones is about 33 per second.
Right.
So that number in music causes them, in those beats causes the maximum dissonance. Right. So that. I mean, this is why I think the 440 significance as a 44, just as a number, because
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's quite a coincidence, and especially that 33 coming up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, John's laughing at something.
No, sorry, I'm just laughing at one of the comments, specifically from my mate David.
Okay. I see. Very good.
I think it means that in the worst possible way.
Oh, very funny.
Oh dear.
Actually, Sebastian, I like a bit of drum and bass as well.
Yeah.
Travis Scott, that was it.
Is that a euphemism?
What? Drum and bass?
It sounds like it could be.
Sorry.
I don't know.
It's a genuine question. I didn't know.
Everyone's minds are going to the Fanny comment.
Yeah.
Now we can't get back out of the gutter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. This is
usual.
Tone.
Right.
Yeah. Says, if you ask me, the Great Awakening and the Great Reset is two. Yes, it's the same ass. I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
The Great Awakening was invented by British Secret Service after World War One.
Right.
But that's another story. That's something.
Well, and what's interesting about that is they're always talking about raising your vibration.
Yeah.
And specifically raising it. Now, high frequencies are very disturbing. So to me, I don't think we should be raising our vibration. And that's exactly what the argument between 432 and 440 is, which I agree with, is that that higher pitch, even though it's not a lot, is more disturbing. And what it does is when you're using sound frequencies anyway, the higher pitch will it will kind of bounce off of objects and create a disturbance. Yeah. Whereas lower frequencies sort of bend around objects, so it's more harmonious that way, and it carries farther. You have this resonance that's deeper and like warmer, you know. So there's all these benefits to just going to this lower pitch. In fact, some of the rumors, though, that it was 432 specifically that some famous rock stars used, like Jimi Hendrix, aren't quite true. He used 415. Which is an octave lower than 440, so you can play with 440 with the even temperament and everything, but it's just a pitch lower, you know. And so, so did, apparently, I just learned this today. So did the band U2. Wow. They used 415 instead of 440. Anyway, but it's interesting because when you look at the history of the tuning, there's a lot of there. Like I said, the 440 crops up a little bit, but it seemed like certain people trying to push it, even as far back as 1834. There was a conference of physicists trying to adopt this recommendation by somebody named Johann Scheibler. Scheibler. I'm going to totally massacre that.
Yeah, try to say not when you're drunk.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Scheibeler. He did some studies with a tonometer, which consisted of 52 forks that were tuned from 219 to 439. And after that, they had this conference set up to try to set the standard to 440. And this is as far back as 1834. Wow. And apparently a piano company did adopt that tuning at the time. So, but, you know, there were standards, not standards, but there was no universal standard until more recently, not necessarily universal, but like I say, in the West. Yeah. But they were as low as 3. Let me see if I can look that up again. There were tunings like as low as for A, again, we're talking about. Oh, sorry, I'm not seeing it, but it's 3 something, like 370. Yeah, as low as 370. So, but I think like the preference was these lower pitches, but it also had a lot to do with the instruments that were being used at the time, and there were the organs. You know, the pitch pipe organ. Yeah. Had used I think 370 at some point, and the Baroque pitch now was 415. So that's interesting because when you say it was saying that Jimi Hendrix was using that and U2, but that was considered Baroque pitch that was popular during the Baroque era. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just like I have this, you know, I haven't like been able to confirm all of this, you know, to find out if it's all totally accurate. But Mozart's piano apparently is set to 421.6. Handel's tuning fork was 422.5. The pitch of Paris opera in 1834 was 434. And I don't know, there's so many different variations. So the point was there was a lot of variety, and then the variety had a lot to do with the instruments being used. Yeah. So so it wasn't, that's why it wasn't standardized. And again, like standardization isn't always good. You know, it's a lot of, I mean, there's a lot of convenience and things are done quicker maybe, or, you know, a lot of more musicians can play together and do a lot more with that. But yeah, not necessarily the most beneficial to us. And anyway, I got a little bit off on a tangent, but I don't know how interesting this is to anybody to hear the history of the tunings.
I've accidentally upset someone in chat.
It's all interesting.
Oh, no.
Kevin Keenan, Kevin, mate, you're not a troll. Chris, I'm not a troll.
I thought you, Kevin.
I never said that. It was Tom Thomas.
Oh.
Yeah, ordering a boot. He said something rather obscene, and he gave it. So, look, mate, you know, I'm ever so sorry. I don't know. I never said Kevin Keenan, did I? I don't know.
No, I think because of what Kevin wrote, looked like it could have been a troll, but I think he was saying it.
No, you're not a troll, mate. You're welcome.
Well, he wasn't referring to us. I think that was the point, right, Kevin? I think it looked like you were referring. He thought Chris may have thought you were referring to us in that comment.
We were. You were. It was actually Tom Thomas, and he's gone to the ether.
What did he say? I didn't see the comment. What did he say?
He said something about me being what we were talking about earlier, about a front rear end.
No.
Yes. So
very pleasant.
Anyway, he's gone. So there we are. And I won't read this one out, but this is the one that I was laughing about.
Yeah.
One can only hope.
Yeah.
That's from David Jacobs. I don't think
yeah,
I think, and I like this one. Another one here. This is, what is it? Just as true as you.
Very good.
There we go. Now it says here. This is interesting. This is very nice. Shannon really knows her subject. Oh, that's very nice.
I'm trying. Thank you. I don't know if I can agree, but
it's not like you do.
Very trying, Shannon. No, that, yeah.
What about Sebastian Moran? What about dance and trance music? DJ, for example, for drum and bass. I like some of that.
Yeah.
But, there's some really some fantastic ones, and we've got Olaf, and he's saying he's intrigued because he's a musician, and don't tell him this, but I haven't done his advert yet, but all right, he might not notice, so don't say anything. Oh no, I haven't done his advert yet. I've been a lazy bastard this week. Now,
you last week as well.
Yeah, and last week. Sorry, mate, your advert will be on the way soon, so don't you worry. Olaf Stainer says, how do you tag someone in this?
I've told him that in the chat.
Have you? Oh, all right. Oh, that's good. Thanks, Deb. And I'll tell you something. Deb and Sebastian, they're going to be moderators soon when I get around to do it.
Monster.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah, it says, it says here, what is this? Aunt Sally, Olaf Stainer, tag me in the other chat after the show.
Hello. Get a
room. Ooh, the other chat. Oh. But it's very interesting. I hope I haven't missed any. I've missed a few out here. I'm terribly sorry about that, but don't take it personally. But where was it? Something.
I think if you would go back to somebody talking about Mark Devlin, or a couple of people talking about Mark Devlin. Right. Well, that is interesting because Mark's kind of a mate of mine. I wouldn't say we're close friends, but we know each other and we communicate reasonably regular. So somebody was asking, it's gone off the screen now, but somebody was asking what happened to Mark Devlin, and then somebody said he was taken down.
Yes.
Well, I don't know what you mean by taken down. Do you mean his YouTube channel was taken down? I'm not sure because I've not been on it for a while. Well, interestingly enough, Shannon and I actually helped Mark proof his latest book, which was Musical Truth 3. Shannon did a little bit and I did some as well. But since we did that, Shannon, you found out that most of the stuff in there about the frequencies is actually wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't read it, so I hadn't read it before you sent it to me recently. But yeah, unfortunately, because what can happen so easily, and we're all guilty of this at times, is it's easy to copy paste information we find online, especially if we think the source is credible. Like it's somebody, like say, I trust, like we like Mark, we trust Mark, and then he had found something somewhere else, so we assume he knows where it's coming from, it's correct or whatever, but then that person might be somebody he trusts. And then, so it can be easy just to not follow up and really check into it. But a couple of things he had put for, I think he did mention the solfeggio scale as being a legitimate thing, or maybe in the 444 tuning, and also the 432 as having been like a standard before, or like for ancient musical instruments and things like that. So that's just it's out there all over the place, and I've seen some articles where they'll get a lot else correct, but then kind of insert that and not realize it's not. So it's tricky. I mean, there aren't that many people who really. It's been hard to find the information because there's not a lot of people who've really dug more deeply into this. And I think the sources I found that really were helpful were people who are, serious musicians who've studied music theory, who help educate me on understanding things like temperament. I mean, because I know that Mark said DJ. I've been a DJ. I'm a musician. I know a lot of musicians that don't know anything about music theory. they don't know anything about any of this. It doesn't mean they're not good musicians or don't know something about music, but it doesn't make them experts on the topic when they don't understand that. That's the key, is understanding those theories. So he does mention 432, and I think, I want to say why. I think the reason that got a lot of attention as being sort of this like magic frequency is because, well, first of all, it sort of it's related to something they called the scientific pitch, which was is tuning to the C at 256. And I'm trying to see my notes. I'll get those in a minute, when that started and everything. But that was called the philosopher's pitch, the scientific pitch. And I'm not finding my notes on it. Until I do that, I wanted to also say, though, that 432 is an interesting number in terms of patterns in nature. Well, you could say with time. And so let me look at an example. There's a really good book I read called 432 Hertz, The Magic and Mystery of Sound and Music by Jonas Malvik. I think he's Norwegian. JONAS MALVIK. So I just got this on Amazon. It's not a very long book or anything. I mean, he explains he's not an author. English isn't his first language. So, it's not the best put together a written book, but there's a lot of interesting information in here. And he is actually one of the ones who does debunk this solfeggio scale kind of nonsense in it. But this whole thing with time and the cycles of time in nature. So 12 hours actually, it can be broken down to 432,000 seconds. So you see the 432 there. And before he introduced the cycles of time section, he explains about octaves. The octave is really important because the octave, is 8 notes and in a scale, and it has like the first note in the octave harmonizes perfectly with the 8th note. So people automatically, so when you have people singing like a different, at the low end of the octave and the high end of the octave, or the next octave, it'll be like in harmony. So I think from one octave to the other, those notes will be in harmony. So if one's singing higher and one's singing lower, if they're in the next octave with that interval, then it will harmonize. And that's one of the most consonant kind of scales you can find. So that's why the octave is important. But the point about the octave in terms of cycles of time is when you come down to breaking down the numbers, is that you constantly find that let's see if I can find it, other parts of like weeks and months and days and measuring out the hours and everything will all kind of come back to 432 in some way or another, and often just because it's on the octave that harmonizes with 432. So here we go. Like, so you have I'm going to just grab one of these to give an example, but it says in 6 hours there's 360 minutes and 21600 seconds. 216 is one octave below 432. And then you have in 8 hours there's 480 minutes and 288,000 seconds, where 288 is one octave above 144. And 144 was related to, now I've lost that bit, but I'm not going to read all this to you. But I see. So then that relates to the true. If you tune properly with the right temperament in 432, then the D note is 144. So it either goes back to like the truly tuned 432 with the Pythagorean temperament scale, or it's like an octave difference. So there's all this like relationship with 432 in terms of nature, cycles in nature. So there's this sort of like, that's like the esoteric side of it. It also shows up in architecture. It gets into that. So there's a lot of like this number comes up a lot, and there's cycles that are in other calendars, like and in like yoga, different yoga traditions and Hindu time cycles. So there's something called Kali Yuga, that's 432,000 years. So this is what I think is what's fascinating and interesting to people right now, specifically with 432, because there's other, like I said, there's other pitches that are lower than 430 that could work. And I don't think when you're playing music that's ever at that perfect pitch anyway. But I think there is this aspect to it symbolically that is more harmonious with natural rhythms, I guess, than something like 440 would be.
Yes, but also it adds up to 9, doesn't it? 4, 3, 2.
Yes. He also, in the same book, he shows the relationship with 3, 6, and 9 in the math with 432.
That's right. It's war, isn't it? It's what 4, 3. In numerology.
Yes.
3, 6, and 9. That is all to do with war, and many years ago when I was studying architecture, which was in the 19 and we actually saw buildings because there's what is called pre-stressed buildings, and what they are, they get steel, it goes inside the concrete, and what they do, they stretch the steel. It's a bit like an elastic band, it's a crude way of explaining it, then pour the cement in, concrete, that goes off, and of course you can use less steel, and it's held in a kind of equilibrium. You know what I mean? Have I explained that correctly? So you stretch the steel, pour the concrete, when it goes off, you let the steel go. And the big problem is that when you go to demolish these buildings, there'll be a massive explosion because the steel will go boom, Now the thing is that they was showing us sound resonance to destroy buildings. Built an experiment they did in America where they had this building and they played now I don't know whether it was fake photographs or what it was, but they're showing you actually destroying this building with sound. Now I don't know whether it's true or false, but we were shown this, and we were shown a lot of things at college which I've now in hindsight looked back on and thought, well, it's a load of old crap. So whether they did that experiment or not with sound, I don't know, but we was told.
Well, you can use there's ultrasound, which is very detrimental to health, even though they're using it on unborn babies constantly. And what's interesting about that, actually, this will tie in nicely, is that I don't remember the researcher's name, but he studied ultrasound on DNA in like test tubes. He was seeing the effect, and so like normal DNA that is healthy, I guess, has a lot of different frequencies. It's not just one frequency. But after exposure to prenatal ultrasound for like a few minutes or something, the DNA lost all the variations and it just went to 10 hertz. Just 10 hertz. It's always 10 hertz. And he's thought, what? Like the implications were just staggering, because this means that, are we genetically modifying babies with ultrasound to like take away those variations? And that's he said it was like a symphony of sound before, and now it's reduced to this homogenized tone, just that tone. And I don't remember, and 10 hertz has come up in other places too as significant, I thought, that related to that. I don't remember right now. I think I did mention this in our book, actually, John. I don't know if you remember. I did mention this at some point about what I just and I quote the quotes in there about the that discovery. So it's really fascinating, because I mean, I think there's definitely a war. There is like a frequency of war happening. I mean, but we don't want to there is a difference between like music in terms of sound frequency and frequencies of like electromagnetic fields. So not really the same thing, but I think that they can both be used as a weapon in a way, so there is this whole, I mean, there's this whole spectrum. There's the light spectrum, which is different, frequencies, and there's sound. And I think there is some relationship there. But I don't know if I'm,
you did talk about the weaponization of it.
Yeah. The ultrasound is definitely, but what that's doing genetically is fascinating in terms of actual, frequency of DNA and changing it. So.
Well, look what happened with the Panama Canal when that chap who the Americans wanted to get him out of his palace. So what they did, they played rock music to him for hour after hour, and he came out surrendered a bit. Do you remember that? Oh, it was years ago. But what I was going to say was, sorry, it was the Panama Canal, and there was I don't know too much about it. It was I'm talking about 20, 30 years ago. And this chap, I don't know whether he was a dictator or anything, but the Americans were down there because obviously they need the Panama Canal. and he wouldn't come out of his palace.
Oh,
So
Noriega, was that him?
Maybe, I don't know.
Chris.
But do you know anything about that, Shannon? They put.
No, but I don't know about that in particular, but I know I have heard of it being used in Guantanamo Bay to torture prisoners, different kinds of pop music, and it may sound like joking, but seriously, I do get tortured by a lot of pop music. Like to me, it's a form of torture, and particularly for me, because I have extremely good like auditory memory. That's like my best sense. And so I get the earworm problem like really easily. So if I hear even a few lines of anything that is something that just doesn't, resonate well with me, that's disturbing to me. And I would say most pop music is disturbing to me, like from whatever era. And it will, the more catchy it is or catching, it is, the more disturbing it is to me.
Yeah,
the more forget it. It isn't. I actually I'll go to the town, go to the shop, go to my natural grocers, like, the food co-op, and I hear something there and I can't get out of my head for weeks sometimes. Weeks, it will torture me. Like I have to replace it with something else. I've been like training myself. I've been trying this new technique of coming up with a new song that I invent that blocks that one. Like it's also kind of like catchy, but it's like I'll say something like I don't even want to sing it. It's embarrassing, but it's like but I say in it, my lyrics are like, I don't have to listen to songs on the radio, you know, and like and I don't have to listen to that crap, I say, right? And so it's like it's worked. It finally worked. I did it enough that now when this one particular song I don't like to think about because it comes back so easily, as soon as I do think about it, because it often happens without my awareness, without my conscious awareness, it just creeps in there. I'm now programmed myself for the other thing I invented to take over. So every time that infiltrates, like the other song takes over. Not that that's like a great song I invented, but it's better than the crap that they're trying, that's trying to like worm its way into my brain.
You're doing your NLP there.
It feels like, I know, right? It is.
Have you noticed how?
What's that?
Chris? After you, John. Sorry. What? You was going to say, John. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, has everyone noticed how all pervasive music is now? It's everywhere. Everywhere you go. It's, it's in shops. They even play it outside. Down shopping streets. Down shopping streets. In the outside, and you just can't escape it, and it's horrendous.
I know. This is my point. It should be considered torturous because like we don't all like the same music, and why should somebody get to choose that and then like just bombard us with it? Why is it being played in public places where we didn't pay to go to a concert to see it or hear it? I don't.
Even if I like that particular music, I don't like it in that circumstances. I like to listen to music when I choose to listen to it. Not have it blasted at me through bloody loudspeakers walking down a street or in a shopping centre.
It's the worst time. Christmas is the worst time because I cannot stand Christmas carols.
Music. Oh no, I
and
know.
I'm sort of like this, but Spike Milligan, he started a campaign called Pipe Down. I think they're still going. I don't know if they're on the internet, where they tried to get piped music banned because we had an organisation called Muzak over here. This like, and everybody, you're right.
Music, they call it, don't they?
Yeah, elevator music. But Pound Shop, they always play this. Oh, Christ, it's dreadful.
It's even in things like hospital waiting areas and doctors' surgeries, and, doctors' waiting rooms, and it's everywhere. They're playing horrible pop music. It could be just a radio program, or it could be a recorded tape of some tape, showing my age, a CD or something. But but they, or it's some crappy, horrible, pathetic, useless DJ that they wheel out from God knows where, and they just batter you with this horrible dirge music, all the time. People are ill in a doctor's waiting room. They don't want to be listening to that shite.
Yeah.
It's absolute crap, isn't it?
When I buy
It drives me. I'm like, I can feel myself start to twitch. I'm going.
Blood pressure going up.
Oh yeah, no, it does.
Yeah.
They do it for the waiting when you're waiting on hold with all these companies now that are all outsourced calls that you have to make you wait, and that and it's like, and I've noticed actually paid really close attention to the effect on me, like physiologically and mentally, with the different music, and I notice it does. I think they design it in those cases to kind of calm you down. Because I'll get really agitated and angry. I'm ready to like yell at somebody, and then I get to listen to their brainwashing music for a little while just to calm me down, so I don't go ballistic on somebody.
And by the time you answer the phone and ask you if you need any answer, no, I'm fine.
Well, I'm fine. I don't just keep playing this wonderful music. I mean, it's horrible music actually, but it's like robot. It's crazy programming.
That's the opposite effect on me, and sometimes it's actually not real music, is it? It's like electronic notes, isn't it? And it's just kind of discordant.
Yeah, I hate it. I hate it, but I think sometimes it kind of works in the effect it's supposed to have, and sometimes it doesn't. But I've actually, when I've been on the long holds with a certain music with one company, I've actually told them when they come on, I'm like, they're like, oh, we're gonna put you on a brief hold again. I'm like, can you just please put me on hold without the music, please, please, please? And they're like, oh, sure. And then they don't do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I can't just mute them because I don't know when they're coming back on. I'm like, I don't say that.
I'm exactly the same.
That mean HughesNet by any chance?
It's HughesNet. Yeah, it was HughesNet.
When you phone up the tax people in this country, you get this ding 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 ding. Dun, 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 and it sticks like chewing gum to the inside of your brain. It's like, but the worst one was when I was in hospital A&E with the blood pressure going through the roof. They had from 7 o'clock till 2 o'clock. That was the waiting time. Magic radio on this crappy out of tune radio, and all I could hear was this sort of it's horrendous. Yeah, and I mean, it's enough to wind you up, but
I want to tell a quick anecdote about this because it just happened yesterday. My partner Sam, we were out, car shopping. I told John and Deb about this offline, that we were getting a used car from a dealership for a lot of, unfortunately, too much money probably, but we were in a bind and putting all in credit anyway. But we were made to also listen to a lot of pop music, while we were there, and like, we were kind of laughing at each. I was like, oh, which one's going to stick with us? Every time one would come on, say, which is it, this one that's going to stick with me the most for the week? Which one, But then I said, this is a strong contender. And then suddenly one came on where Sam just like, nope, he just walked out. And as soon as he walked out, he opened the door. He goes, it's out here too. I forgot. And like, they had the speaker outside. He's like, I can't get away from it. We went to inside our car, closed it for the duration. The car salesman's like, did he just leave because of the song to get away from a song? I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
crap.
He's like, I'm not. He's like, no, I'm not listening to this one.
Over here, a Wix has got the worst music you could wish to think of. Now that's equivalent to Harbor Freight, I think, in America.
Okay.
But you go walk around this hardware store, and all you get is this ding 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 ding. But I tell you, my all-time pet hate is Donny Osmond, Puppy Love. I loathe that tune with a.
You don't hear that very often, though, Chris.
And what that one? Once, twice, 3 times a lady. I want to.
That's what. Yeah, that's what. It's pretty bad.
that is the but the other one. Now we got here. Sean Hayman says, "Dance and trance fits the description Huxley described in Brave."
Oh yeah.
Monotonous machine-like trance.
That's true.
And during World War II, they did music while we do work because most people were on factory lines to turn out the goods for the war effort. So what they did, and my mother told me this, she said it drove her up the wall. They used to put the speakers up louder and louder and louder. So your brain was being bombarded with what was the music. I suppose it was Glenn Miller and stuff like that in those days, which is not so bad. I don't mind Glenn Miller's stuff, but my mother said it just drove her mad because they got this production line and they speed the production line up with the louder the music, put the music up higher, and then they speed the production line up. Wow. So, yes. But it says here, what we got here, we've got now what's this? He's talking about a Telegram group, probably, folks. I'm in lots of chat groups here. Ooh. Yes, because I was going to do. You get about there, don't you, Aunt Sally? And oh yeah, we still want you to go to Mars because you said you're going to have a spank or something, you know. Was it like the other week talking about a spank or something? So you know, missed that. Yeah, so might put us off our turkey tomorrow, right? Sean Hamer. When I look at these people that speak at the Great Awakening events, as Kevin Keener, all I see is, well, you know what I mean. Well, the Great Awakening, I know I'm going off at a tangent there, but I said this briefly, I think, last week. You know, this spiritual awakening. Right. Well, that was started by the British Secret Service, and I'll be very brief on this, in about 1919, 1920, because whilst people are thinking there's going to be a spiritual awakening, not thinking about blowing the brains of a psychopath, are they? Out, you know. You know, and it was so successful in this country to stop a revolution that in America the CIA invented hippies. And what did hippies have? A spiritual awakening. Because whilst they're thinking about spiritual awakening and love and peace, they're not thinking of getting the psychopaths in power blowing their brains out, are they?
No.
True.
No. Yeah, I know, and it's true. It really derailed that movement. Pretty effectively. I mean, people were trying, you know, protesting and coming together and, you know, get them on some heavy drugs and some, you know, some rock music, and there they go. And look at them. They're the ones today that are all on board with all these health diktats, you know, we've been dealing with. I mean, they're just all for it. Like they were supposed to be like these hippie children that are like, you know, going against the man and the system, and they're just going right along with it. I mean,
you're right. You know, it's we got here. This is an interesting one. This is Olaf Steiner. Yeah, you can't do sports without music these days. I'm out of the loop. When I joined the local martial arts centre, I was surprised at how, as soon as training began, they blasted music so loud. That's interesting. And another one of my pet hates is Paul McCartney. V. McCrinnan, Paul McCartney and Harry Webb. Blah. I can't stand. So this is Christmas. They blast it out. Do they blast out in shops where you are, Shannon?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I hate that tune. I loathe it with a passion. The other one is what was one.
What about the Feed the World song? Do you remember that one? That's
I'm gonna throw up. And remember, people suffer from finger in the ear hole. Overacting in front of the microphone. They're all just saying, because they're singing so awful, they had to put their fingers in their ears. We've lost John. Where's John gone? He's disappeared.
I don't know. We lost him.
He's gone. He's still there, but he's gone.
Sebastian Moran, I can't wait. Cardio train to music. Yes. But this is an interesting one. This is John Basingstoke from Alabama, I believe. If I'm correct.
Hello.
When I went through survival POW training in the USAF, they played various Russian dirges and Chinese Indian music, blasting out into our cells. That was 35 years ago. Now that's interesting because I know that they have they put you through quite a bit with this training, and it's funny where they used to torture prisoners, didn't they? Where they would put when the IRA, didn't they? The British Army used to play white sound to them. They'd stand up at a wall and have this white sound. That would
Some people listen to that to go to sleep nowadays. There's brown sound as well, apparently.
Wow. What brown sound? What's that?
Brown noise. I have no idea.
A load of crap, doesn't it? I don't know where John's gone because I've got my phone on.
I'm still here. I was just.
I see.
We
talk about you. Or
No,
external.
I just. Oh, that's a good idea. I think I'll nip to the chippy. Good idea.
He's gone. All external.
No, I'm back. I was just drawing the blinds because it was. It's starting to come a bit dusk-like here now. So.
Yeah, to some degree, distracts attention from the inner voice awareness. That's correct.
You know, actually, I want to comment on that. That's because I really agree with that. And that's where my earworm issue is a real problem, because I live in a really natural, beautiful setting where I should have peace when I step outside and, you know, work in my garden and everything. And I get this stuff in my head, and it's like I can't have that. You know, it's really a battle. And I mean, I try to just not think about it, but it's like it feels like there's always something playing. And it's not always something welcoming.
I have that as well.
And I'd like to just experience like the present moment and the sounds of nature without this interference.
Intrusion.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we got here, Olef says, I love Christmas songs.
You're on your bloody hell.
Have you had a history of mental illness? Sorry, mate.
You get tablets for that.
He's got good sense of humour. Like he has. Philip Atkins says, sorry I'm late. Oh, I've got a note from my parents. Oh, it's Lions this week. It's definitely Lions, yes. There we go. It's just an interesting one here. Whatever great shows up, it's Freemasonry plain sight.
Oh, yeah. Great reset, great awakening.
Yeah.
Great.
Peace movement, biggest con of the 20th. You are bloody spot on there, mate. V. McCrinnan, it is the biggest con of the 20th.
And that is up against some pretty stiff competition, I'll tell you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dale. I like that one. Right, we got here.
Who's Deborah?
No idea. Every now and again.
The drugs rock sounds fantastic to me.
Actually, I mean, I do agree. Sometimes it is a nice combo, depending on what kind of drug and rock music.
Well, this is a true
story. I still know that it's not necessarily good for me. I play rock music, so I don't totally diss all rock music. So yeah.
Yay.
I like soft rock, man.
We'll be listening out for the album coming out now, Shannon.
Okay, I have one. I just haven't. Actually, I'm kind of shy. I haven't put it out online.
Get it out there.
I don't know.
Shy.
Only John's heard it.
Shy.
I am. I know.
Kevin Keener, feed the world. Where did all the money go? Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah.
And Sebastian. Yes, I won't read it out, but yes, a man. Gangster, what's it? I can't stand that. Smells off. Smells off. Yes. Yeah. Lemmy had a quest for the brown note. Lemmy, interesting.
Lemmy at Motorhead.
Now it says here. Olive says everyone associates goodness with love, peace, positivity, and spirituality. The promotion of these feminine virtues is aimed to overshadow the masculine virtues such as duty, resilience, and honor. I 100% agree with you.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Sebastian says, "Bring on Motorhead and Hawkwind." Hawkwind got their name from.
A bit of Led Zeppelin there as well.
Led Zeppelin, yeah.
Do you know where Hawkwind got its name from? Because one bloke had a trouble with black. They called him. That's true. Called him Hawkwind. Yeah. So now it says here. Peace means Pax Romana. Did not know that. Now we've got Oles. Just I used to go to a Weatherspoons for breakfast, and I tried to work out what was so chilled out and relaxing about the place. When I realised it was because they have no music.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Absolutely, yeah.
I like that without music. I hate even if I like the sound of the music. I hate pipe music. It's awful.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you know, even in films, they
I love
overdo
Weatherspoons.
Yeah, they do.
You noticed in films like the soundtracks where they overdo it, especially Spielberg films, right? And it's so distracting. It's so hard to watch them. And there's a lot of films like I I sort of like, but then I want them just to stop the music and like they'll have music while there's dialogue, and I'm like, just wait, come on, you don't need the music the whole time. You know, like tone it down. Even I was a Hitchcock fan, you know, Alfred Hitchcock movies, and he really, I went back and rewatched them, you know, in later years, and I thought, my God, I don't remember all that big band music just constantly on. It's so irritating. Like,
they've altered a lot of films to add in some music.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember the music being like it is now. It is.
Yeah, I didn't remember either. I don't know if I didn't know.
The best bit about Wetherspoons.
Interesting.
The best bit about Wetherspoons though is seeing grown men and women getting pissed out the brains at 9 in the morning. I think that's really fun. That. With the pints lined up on the toilet.
Yeah, seen it.
Just for Shannon's benefit, Wetherspoons is it's a pub chain, but it's cheap. Very, very cheap, and people go there to get pissed out their heads on very cheap beer and stuff.
Oh yeah, well.
Yes, I think it really is. What gets me though is that they found that by putting pipe music in, people will buy more.
Yeah.
But have you heard the latest one? That is when there's a radio station that when they read the news, they have music in the background. There's this, and today is my this, you know, and all that. It's horrendous. Now it says here.
There's a reason they had military marching bands. You know, I mean, the military always had their marching bands, right? Yeah. Their music that the soldiers had to march to. I mean, it's part of the control, you know. Yeah.
Right. But Dad said everybody likes marching along to the sound of a band. They did it in his book. I think he said it that, you know, people like, he said they preferred it. You know, that's what I don't know, but it was a different music,
pace, isn't it?
Yeah, and what's this? Aunt Sally. There is a song, unfortunately, I can't remember which one, that apparently breaks the loop song. It's a song like Happy Birthday, one that everyone knows.
But is it something that replaces the other one and permanently, or just probably is it worse or better? Right?
It's probably Nelly the Elephant or something.
Hopefully that goes away right after.
Yeah, they say think of a boring song, and that will
Nelly the Elephant.
Hawkwind was Nick farting. That's what. A piece of Rome. That it says here, was it? And Hawking was before his sax. Really? Because he had a reefer guitar. But do they do that I suppose they do that in the. I think it came from the States. This idea where you play music. Like, for example, they'll be interviewing somebody and there'll be music in the background. You know, and so where did you go today? Blah, 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 blah. And, it's horrendous.
It's so distracting. I know.
Yes. Now it says here, Sean Hamer says, keeping the peace like for Her Majesty in military service to the Vatican. Yes. This is an interesting one. Kevin Keener says Mandela effect.
Oh, I think that's referring to the is that referring to our memory of films and that?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, it's lots of different instances.
No, I mean, I know what it is. I know what it is. I didn't mean that. I meant why was he saying it, right, in reference to?
Yeah, what was it referencing about?
Right, okay.
I just want to stop you, John, before you. I mean, if you want to educate the audience, it's fine. I just. I don't know.
You can tell them if you want, John.
You can tell them. I just.
Now we got here.
I was just going to say the Mandela effect. For anyone who doesn't know, where it got its name from, it was because in the 1980s. Oh no, sorry, later than that, when Nelson Mandela died, lots of people came forward and said they could not only remember him dying in the 1980s, but actually were at his funeral.
Yeah.
And this kind of gave rise to the idea that reality is being changed subtly. Yeah. And it also relates to the fact that a lot of people believe that we live in this matrix, you know, and I wouldn't diss that. notion myself, you know. But so it's a kind of distortion of reality. There are lots and lots of different examples of it. I won't go into it because it's not the right forum, but yeah, there are lots of different examples of it, and some of them are quite fascinating. But yeah,
well, there's some that are. Sorry. Oh, now I'm having feedback. There's some that have a lot of people have the same one too, like you said, like the Mandela one, but they share that. And I had I had it happen with I was one of the ones who swore it was this movie Interview. Apparently, it's Interview with the Vampire, and I thought it was Interview with a Vampire. And in fact, I had made a copy of it in my collection. I hadn't watched it yet, and I was copying movies at the time to watch later. And I remember writing it, and I was like, well, I'm going to find my disc because I wrote it by hand, right? So it's got to be like, if I thought it was Interview with a Vampire, I would have put A. So I found the disc, and it said in my handwriting, Interview with the Vampire. And it really messed with me because I know it was not I swear, you know, how? And then it's like, if it does change, if it's true, there's this program matrix. If it changes every single link and detail of that. So you can never prove it was something else. It can only be your memory, which we all know our memories could be faulty. So, you know, we've had these experiences where, or are they? That's a good question. Is it our memory, or is it this always to do with the matrix, you know, where you meet up with a friend and you have a different memory of something that you shared together and you don't have it, you know, I don't know.
That's very interesting. That is, there's some good ones here. It says here, many crap films around now too, with far too much CGI and no good story. It's a bit like
in fact,
that one about
all monsters, in other words.
Yes. And it's a bit like, I'll tell you the one I can't stand. Now, this is interesting. Weatherspoons made the seating oversized to psychologically trigger memories of being children because it tends to encourage less unruly behaviour.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Do you know McDonald's? I call it McDonald's. Their seating is made slightly uncomfortable so you don't stay there long.
Yeah, that's probably
about the less time the better, really, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. I actually think it's best to flush it straight down the toilet without eating it. It cuts out the middleman, doesn't it?
Cuts out the middleman.
But the thing is that CGI, I filmed the Titanic. I hate CGI because it was too clean. When you see the Titanic, there's bits of coal and shit and barnacles and Christ knows what. It wasn't that clean, and it's all you can see. It's fake.
Did you have time to get barnacles, Chris?
Sorry.
Did you have time to get barnacles?
Well, later on, after it sunk.
You know.
Well, actually, no, it's true.
It was actually. John will explain. It was actually about a year older than they said it was.
Oh yeah. After all that,
because it
wasn't
we
won't
go into that.
That should have been it. Let people. That's the evidence. If there's a photograph of its so-called maiden voyage and there's barnacles on it.
Yeah.
If we can investigate those photographs a little more closely, maybe we'll find them.
So, coal, you think?
And got interesting. I know we're getting off topic here a little bit, but there's a really interesting video of the Titanic leaving the port on its maiden voyage. Obviously, well, it's only had one voyage allegedly, but that's another story. But you can actually clearly see the damage on the hull in exactly the same place where the Olympic had been hulled, and you can see all the new plates, and it's a certain shape, you know, and all the you know, the steel plates and rivets have been replaced, and you can see it's an actual patch on the side of the Titanic as it's leaving on its maiden voyage. What a giveaway!
Celine Dion was on there as well, wasn't she? Because how did they get the film with her singing? Celine Dion. Yeah. She did singing because she looks like Skeleton now, doesn't she? She's doing an impersonation of Skeleton.
I don't know. I haven't seen her.
Yeah,
I never really liked her anyway. Yes. Next is this is Ancient Ruby. Not me. Never liked band marching music. Love lots of drums.
I love drum music. Yeah.
Yes, I like drum music. I'll tell you what I do like. German music as well. I like the German music. Yes.
See you in your later.
Umpa bands.
But yeah, I like it. I know a song that will get on your nose. Bro, please don't say it. No.
No.
Paul Green, hate all Christmas music. Hey, it's so-called charity singles with a passion, especially when they show the videos of the blokes with the, or women going, look as if they're in pain at the microphone. Yeah, that was so contrived. That thing.
Yeah.
Don't they feel embarrassed? Is that you, Daddy? Why have you got your finger in your ear hole and look as if someone's just shoved a cucumber up your arse? But no, I suppose you had all that gob. You don't hear gob smells off now, do you?
No.
Yeah, it says here, has anyone had a thought when it comes true within out? Oh, that was it. When you have a thought and it comes true.
Yes. Yes.
And also something very weird. Now, I'm a bit of a biking enthusiast. I like bikes and cars. I don't know what it is, So, because motorists dislike cyclists. Now I'm a motorist and a cyclist, and so I cycle as if I'm a motorist.
That's
You're gonna laugh at this. I was miles away cycling along this footpath, and I came to some traffic lights where you go over the road, you see, and I stopped, and I suddenly thought I was in my car. I don't know why, but I put my hand down for the handbrake and just went sideways. I'm thinking, where's my handbrake? Silly son, but luckily no one around. But I'll tell you a weird thing. This is a very weird coincidence, and I've got quite a collection of bikes. I don't know why, because I've only got one arse I can sit on. A bit weird like that. I've always, when I was a kid at school, I wasn't allowed to have a bike. My parents wouldn't get me one. My granddad was on them all the time. Why didn't you give that boy a bike? No, they're dangerous. So I used to have to run alongside with my friends who had bikes, you see. And hang on, get me handkerchief out.
Put my little violin out.
Anyway, that's why I like bikes now. And I've always liked those ones with the gear changes on the actual what do you call it, on the frame. I don't know why, I just do. And I was talking to Miles the other day. He said, "I've got a bike with a gear change on the frame. Do you want it?" Weird, isn't it? Strange. Life goes. He's getting rid of it, so But now let's what's this now? Ancient Ruby, Mad on Drums, Fav Instruments. Yes. Well, do you remember that film? What was it? With a slave ship, when they go attacking speed, they go boom, boom, boom. What was that one now? Where they had the slave boat? Was it Ben-Hur?
No. I need a little more than that, I think.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, now this is one for another book for you, John, that the Vikings spoke with a Brooklyn accent, because I've seen the film Tony Curtis, and they definitely had a Brooklyn accent and very nice manicured hair. So the Vikings,
Tony Curtis and Kirk Douglas, wasn't it?
That's right, yes. It's
about the Vikings.
It's bleeding inaccurate, isn't it?
Right. He did that. He did the Cary Grant imitation in Some Like It Hot. Wasn't that Tony Curtis?
Sorry, what was that?
Tony Curtis,
yeah.
Yes.
Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe. He did like this sort of posh, upper class millionaire accent, as he thought, but it was meant to imitate Cary Grant, who always had a little bit of this, because Cary Grant's British, but he's playing these American characters, but he had this kind of affectation. And I just remember Jack Lemmon says to him, "Nobody talk." I can't do it, but he says nobody talks like that, in that accent. But they're making fun of Cary Grant.
I didn't know that. I think the best one. That's Vic Van Dyke doing a Cockney accent in Mary Poppins. That is the worst accent ever. And the other one is Michael Caine in Cider House Rules, doing an American accent.
Oh, Michael Caine can't do. Oh no, he can't do those.
No. Bob Hoskins with an American accent. It sounds like he's got sort of vowel incontinence, I would call it. Right. Irritable bowel syndrome. That's what he had. Irritable bowel syndrome. The music of Hitchcock films reminds me of scraping fingernails across a blackboard.
Well, that specifically would apply to Psycho with the violin parts that were meant to. They're very
yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, similar to that, Chris.
Bob Hollyoak. You should have looked in the yellow pages for bike. You won't understand that, Shannon. It's an advert.
I wonder why we're cracking up.
There was a series of adverts that were on for years, Shannon, in about the 70s or 80s or something.
Yeah.
And it was for Yellow Pages, the phone directory book,
Right.
Yeah. And they had this character on called J.R. Hartley, and that's what the reference is to.
Yeah. And it was
not very funny when you explain it.
Right.
It was filmed in a newsagent's that wasn't far, about a couple of miles from where I live, actually. It's filmed in Potter's Bar, that was. Yes, but hang on a minute. That was it. It was the Vikings v. McCrinnan. That's it. Yes. And Cary Grant came from Bristol, believe it or not. That's why
he had a really strange accent, didn't he? It was kind of half American. You could hear American in it, but you could also hear English in it as well. Yeah. It was an unusual accent that it had.
Yes, and Cary Grant, he was a man at CNA, wasn't he? Now you're probably wondering, what am I talking about?
Yeah.
Well, CNA. I'll try and be as polite as possible. CNA Clothing, which was a clothing firm that sold trousers and things. The slang term for it was front and back. And shall we say, men that like going with men and also women, AC/DC, they called them men at CNA.
Yeah.
So Cary Grant was a man at CNA, shall we say?
He'd like to show himself out slightly.
Right, it says John Badger, Ben-Hur with Charlton Heston in the galley. That's it. And they speeded it up, didn't they? And said, what a skiing speed. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Because in Ben-Hur, a bloke got killed, didn't he, on the chariot race and left it in, didn't they?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wasn't somebody wearing a digital watch as well?
Oh, yeah, it was a thumb, wasn't it? Would have put the thumb up.
It was made in the 50s, Deb. I doubt if it would have a digital watch, but it might have been a modern watch.
There was something that was modern in it. I'm sure it might have been a plane flying over or something, but there's something that they left in that they didn't realise they left in.
The film The Battle of Britain's full of them. Like modern doorbell, modern stamp on a letter, and a modern up and over garage door that she didn't have during World War II. But now what's this? Sebastian says, Wandura Hell.
I love that music.
Yes, here we go.
That's all drums and nature sounds and
yeah.
What about
just into that group. It's
oh, I know them. Yes.
Norse folk. It's brilliant.
Yes, and the bloke sounds as if he's.
No, there's another band that does that, but yeah, it's more Viking sounds, sort of Viking. Yeah, it's good.
Dick Van Dyke, call lummy, governor.
Crap.
We got Sean Hamer says pop music equals irritable vowel syndrome. Who was that bloke that used to do that lovely tumbling strings? What was his name? Mantovani.
Oh yeah.
He said he's glad there's pop music because when people get a headache, they go over to his music.
Yeah.
I actually love Shemaine, that one that he did. That's about the only one I like of his. That's what I call calming down one.
Yeah.
That one, that Charmaine. But Mantovani, he's always long time dead now. Yeah. All the people here at the moment talking about this, has it happened before? We may have been all around the table before, and what is the chance it was all of us lot in a previous lifetime?
Well, you don't know, do
you? Well, I do get gut feelings about it. And talking about sound resonance, I did some research many years ago into when, for example, the sound of people's voices, how we resonate things. And I think it was Town Crier was saying that bees have a calming effect with a buzzing.
Yeah.
And cats, I mean,
Cats,
purr,
yes,
it calms you down. But also, when you look, when there's a couple that both people who try and get on with each other, their voices resonate to the same level, same pitch. But when somebody's assertive, it grates and it goes out of pitch. And I've noticed that a lot. Now you get friends, they speak to each other and they try and match their pitch all the time. They speak. Whereas you get some assertive bastard, and their voice. I mean, I'll give you an example. My brother-in-law's voice was always out of sync with my sister's.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I've noticed that with there's people I try to be friends with whose voices just I couldn't handle their pitch. Yeah. Something so grating about it, and to me, like the voice is more important than appearances.
Yes,
I'm much more kind of tuned into sound than visual, even though I'm also a visual artist. But it's like that's for me, like it's kind of body movements and voice like that, resonance and some people's voices are just high pitched and squeaky and oh my, I don't know. I guess
I don't mean to,
yeah.
Sorry, Shannon.
No, go ahead.
I don't mean to be rude, but I find a lot of American accents, not yours, I have to add, because I think you've got a lovely voice. But no, I do. But a lot of American accents sound very whiny and grating to me.
Oh, it is a bit whiny.
I know you're always taking the piss out of me when I try and do an American accent, but I try and imitate that whiny grating sound when I'm doing it, because that really does like make me want to go like that, and it's kind of this. That's what it sounds like to my ears, anyway.
Well, I mean, oh wait, I think. Hold on, there's some feedback. That happens more. It's more pronounced in some parts of the country with that whining for sure. I'd say like the Midwest in particular. So I'm from the East Coast. So it's a lot different from Midwest and from the West Coast. I say the coasts are actually don't have that as much for some reason. It's sort of like in the middle. I don't know why, but I don't know.
I mean, having said that, lots of English accents grate on me as well. I mean, I know I'm a fine one to talk, with my accent, but
well, I think
there are certain English accents that are great.
Yeah, some accent, and I think it's not just the accent; it has to do with the pitch as well, like we were talking about. Is really more relevant to that, and maybe because you could hear like that bit. I'm sure I have a bit of whininess because I speak American English, but if I had the same whininess with a higher pitch voice, and that would exaggerate it and be worse. Did I tell you when I was living in France as an au pair, and I spoke when I spoke English on the phone with my family, the little kids who didn't know English, they were trying to imitate me speaking English, and they went. Well, they went. They went. Wah, 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 wah. That was their imitation of.
Because that's what it sounded like to them. Yeah.
And it was a lot like the Peanuts show when they have the adults that do that wah 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 wah. That's the adult, noise. And I thought that's what it is. It's like that's how that sounds. If you don't know what they're saying. If it's American English, it does kind of have that wah, 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 right? It's not that far off.
Glaswegian and Belfast, because I've noticed that people in Belfast or Glasgow, it looks as if they're attacking you when they're greeting you. So, hello! How are you? I have to keep saying, pardon? What? If they've got a strong Belfast or Scottish accent, it goes, well, I really can't understand. But I'll tell you the worst one, South African, because he's a bit flat. But then you've got the Australians who raise the last syllable. Remember that? So, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
Ask a question. I went down the road and I went into a shop And I've noticed a lot of English people doing this now.
Yeah, they
Not
do.
American. I noticed a lot of English. Have you noticed that in the last syllable? So
especially young people, younger people do it a lot. Yeah.
I went on holiday.
It's like they're asking you a question all the time. It's like they raise the pitch at the end of the sentence. Weird. Yeah.
We've got V. McCrimmon here.
Language, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was in Ben-Hur. It was a Roman Timex. And we got another one. Ancient Ruby. History constantly repeats in circles. Who controls the circles must be stopped, or we may have to try again in another 100 years. Laugh out loud. Cool, blimey, let's hope we can stop them in control. Well, it does go around in circles.
Yeah.
That's the thing, you know. But have you noticed, if you're trying to avoid somebody, you'll always bump into them.
Yeah.
If you're trying to avoid someone, they will be. I tried to avoid my cousin who used to live near me. Bleeding bumped into the bastard.
I tried to avoid somebody the other week, and I'd spotted him, and I thought, right, I'm not going to speak. And then as we went into the shop, my husband went, "Oh, you've got a lot of compost there." I'm like, "Oh, he didn't know this person," and I'm like, "Oh, shit."
Nice. Yep.
It's awful, isn't it? You know. Sort of. The other one I do is I haven't seen you. I'm looking straight ahead. I cannot see you. I'm busy. It's a bit like when they're all with the old sanitary towel over your face. I used to walk into the supermarket, especially Tesco's, as if, get out of my way. I've got business to do. And I used to say anything. Well, sometimes I did. I just go boom, walk in at breakneck speed.
Oh yeah, that's what we did when we got bile. We just didn't wear any of those face diapers, and like we just went in with authority and ignored everybody and did what we wanted. And people are really intimidated about that. They're not like about to tell you not to. Which on that topic, may I add, because I wanted to know. So we dropped all that crap here too, finally. But private businesses are still enforcing it to some degree. But what it is now is they have these signs that say, please wear a face diaper unless you've been jabbed. And then, so I just walk in without the diaper, even though I haven't been jabbed, but they're not actually asking for proof of that. But it's kind of strange feeling to like have people assume that I am one of them that have done that, because I refuse. I just don't acknowledge it. I ignore it and I just go about my business. But it is worrisome because it's still this it's this creeping thing. They're just trying to get us more and more used to this so that eventually we will accept a certificate or passport or whatever, and for daily stuff, just for shopping. Yeah. Now, do you guys have people doing that too at shops where they want you to wear the diaper if you don't have?
There are a few. And hospitals.
The other one is to come over the loudspeakers. Please stand 2 meters apart or whatever.
Oh, they're still doing that too. Yeah.
They're doing that. But I call them oxygen deprivation junkies.
There you go.
Of lack of oxygen, I'm feeling really groovy now. But,
you still get some people. Sorry, Chris.
That's okay. After you.
Sorry, Chris.
What I was going to say is there was a bloke walking around Tesco's the other week, and Tesco's is like, I don't know, Walmart.
I know Tesco, yeah.
Yeah, and he was a bit grubby, he had a grubby old jacket. He just let himself go a bit. Wouldn't say a tramp, but sort of heading in that direction. The old sanitary towel over his face, and this was it was minging. He must have worn it for the last 2 years. Absolutely. Oh. So he's obviously into bacteria in a big way, Bacteria is really great.
Well, in our well, yeah, we got to
see people.
He could be living proof of the germ theory being false. You should ask if he's been sick or not. If he hasn't, then there you go.
Like, I was going to say that.
Breeding all the bacteria in it, so
yeah.
Actually, someone was it? I think it's ancient.
You still see people driving around with
that wear them. Yeah.
Sorry, Chris. You still see people driving around in cars on their own wearing the damn things, and you just think,
I've seen that too.
God,
yeah, and
what kind of a mentality are we dealing with here?
Well, they're probably quadruple jabbed too, and they're that paranoid still. They're just
yeah.
I know.
I won't read this out, but this is 100% true. but I won't read it out for obvious reasons. Viva Crema says it's illegal to demand.
Yeah, that's
correct. That is 100% correct. Yes,
right.
Yes.
Should be. A lot of things, but they've been doing a lot of illegal things. So I mean,
yeah.
Well, exactly.
Take over.
They don't bother about tiny little things like the law, do they? I mean, that doesn't faze them.
Ancient Ruby wants you to sing, Shannon. So there we go.
Right now, I don't know about right now. I've just had this hay fever thing. I don't sound very good.
I'll sing and try to everybody to switch off.
No, we're all right.
This is it. Viva says South Africans sound callous and rude to me.
What?
They're the customer care gits for the electric companies. Yes, well, it's always a bit flat, isn't it? I like it when they say bicycle and road. Was it and hippos? I used to work with a South African bloke. Oh no, sorry, he was Rhodesian.
That's very good.
He got pissed off when he thought he was a South African. I'm from bloody Rhodesia, mate. I'm not a South African. And when he said bicycle or hippo, Bill used to piss himself laughing. I don't know why. Those two words triggered us off. Oh, when we're in the bush, we saw these hippos, and we all go, it's not funny, is it? I bought myself a bicycle.
It's not funny at all.
I think you have quite the talent there, Chris, with your accents.
Nah.
Well, just that
I
one.
used to work with Australians, and this was in London, and there's only me. I was the only Englishman in this office of about 20 people, and an Irishman, and the rest were Australians. So all I heard was, "Oh, we get the bloody pom over here," and I was a bloody pom. And after a while, you start to develop their accent because you're hearing it all. Even though I was in London,
because you hear it all the time.
Sure.
Like, wow, yeah.
That's good. I mean, you can still do it. That's pretty good. I mean, because I lived in Ireland and I started picking it up, and I had Irish people thought I was Irish, but I can't really do it that well now. I don't know.
I
think Chris, you have a possible career there. I think. So.
Well, did you know this? You know that there's a joke that the English always used to think that the Irish were a bit thick. Yeah. Well, there's loads of Irish jokes. You know who started those Irish jokes? It was the British Secret Service when the trouble started in 1969. Because before 1969, there were no Irish jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you go to Ireland, you know what jokes they have there? Well, they did before all this political correctness shit. No. Yeah. Kerryman. Kerry is in the very southwest corner of Ireland, and they're like regarded as country bumpkins. They used to tell Kerryman jokes.
Well, it's easy to do.
Did you come across that, Shannon?
Well, I lived in Kerry, so they weren't really making fun of themselves when I was there.
Well, no, they wouldn't do.
Right. So I didn't really hear the Kerry jokes, but I could see why. I mean, you can't understand a word they're saying. The old farmers without teeth. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them. I don't know. There's a lot of all these little farmers without teeth, and they.
It's like no.
Yeah, well, I worked in Dublin for 2 years in the 80s, and that's all the Dublin people used to make jokes about Kerry people, just in the same way that English people do about Irish people.
Yeah. It's like the Canadians.
In actual fact, Irish people are very, very. I find them to be very, very astute. But the reason that they, this myth about them being thick has come about, I believe, is because they're very, very literal. I've got loads of stories. I won't bore you with them all, but I'll just tell you.
The one about the credit card.
I'll just tell you one. Oh, the credit card one. Yeah, we did this. My company did this conference in a hotel in Dublin, and I was like the host, and I was like, the person who was organising it all. And after the conference, everybody stayed behind for a drink. And so I got in this massive round, and I can't remember what all the different drinks were, but it could have been like, say, 5 pints of Smithwick, 6 pints of Guinness, and a Jameson's and ginger ale. And I got my credit card out and said, "And can you put it on that, please?" So she poured out the Jameson's ginger ale, and she put it on my credit card. And I said, no, sorry, I meant, can you charge it to my credit card? And she just looked at me as though I was some kind of thick Englishman, but it's that literal They're very literal. They take everything that you say quite literally, and it comes across as being stupid, but it's not really.
The other option is they could have been taking the piss on you. I don't know.
Well, probably. Yeah. No, I don't think so. No, she wasn't the brightest lamp in the street. Bless her. You know,
well, I just encountered one of those shop people recently, and I asked if there was a markup on stamps. You know, because I asked if they had stamps there, postage stamps, because I realized I need to post something.
Oh yeah.
Post closed. Did they have any? I said, "Oh, is there a markup, or do you?" Because I was just curious. Like, I didn't know what the going rate was, so it's like, you know. And she just looked at me and she says, "What's a markup?" She's like, "I don't what." Like, she never heard. I'm like, "You work in a shop and you don't know what I mean, like, marking up an item." Like, and then try to explain to her, and she looked so confused still. And I finally said, "Never mind."
I've got some disturbing news for you here. I've got some very disturbing news for you here. I don't know what you mean by a markup either.
Okay, but come on, you can use your deductive reasoning.
Work it out.
Figure it out, right? Doesn't make any sense. You
I
mark up the price.
No.
An increase in the price to where you make the profit for the shop. You know, like you have the baseline price.
Oh, you mean right? So do you have to pay higher than face value for the stamp? You mean?
Yes, that was my point. Wow.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't ever want to put you on the same level as this young girl, but I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah,
take it off
that's the result of my 2 years in Ireland. That's my views, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Put it on the credit card. The Canadians take the mickey out of people from Newfoundland. They're a bit thick, don't they? Newfoundland.
I heard that.
Yeah, that's the thing. But down here, it's people from Norfolk, because there's a lot of intermarrying went on during World War II. So and the other one, it sounds a bit weird, is the Cockney accent, the Cockneys, because sometimes they're not liked down here. And because you probably think I sound like a Cockney, but it's not. I'm from Hertfordshire, but you go in a real proper, like Lorraine Chase, that's a real Cockney.
Yeah.
A lot of them, the EastEnders, because you see the film. Have you got EastEnders in America?
I'm aware of it. I don't watch it. I haven't seen it though.
Did they actually put it on the television and that shit?
No, it must have been when I was over there that I saw that. I don't think I have it here. No.
Because they don't speak with Cockney accents. They put it on. It's not a Cockney accent.
Oh yeah.
It's fake. But I like this. I listen.
So let me just. Sorry. Yeah. I'm just going to say before we move on from Irish, just let me tell you one more Irish incident, because it's a very quick one, right? I'd not been over there very long. I was looking for directions. It was before the days of sat navs, GPS and whatever.
I know.
And I had to stop and ask for directions. And I got to this crossroads. There was a lady stood at the crossroads, and I said to her, "Oh, excuse me," I said, "could you tell me where such and such a company is? I know it's around here somewhere." And she went, "Oh, let me see. Oh, no, I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry." I said, "Oh, are you not from around here?" She said, No, I'm not from around here." She said, "I'm from over there." She said, pointing across the road. Bless her.
That is typically Irish.
It is funny, but I feel like this explains a lot about myself, because I suffer from that too. I often it takes me a minute to get a lot of jokes because I'm always ready to just take everything literally. Yeah. So I just a little slow to catch up with people when they're making jokes. I'm like, "Oh, right, you're joking." I thought it was my autism, but I think it's the Irish.
Yeah, probably.
It's so endearing, though. It really is. I just found it so lovely. It was just so innocent. Much fun.
Right.
Yeah, I got hundreds of them, but I won't bore you anymore.
But actually, this is quite interesting about that.
Sorry, Chris. I'm hijacking the show here.
No. It's what makes a show. So it's 2015 Disability Act still stands today, and they cannot refuse you service for no.
Yeah.
In the in that they can get fined up to 10,000. I thought it was 9,000. It's 10,000. Also, the companies. Yes, that's quite correct.
People need to be suing people. That's what has to happen. Oh, do you all know? Everybody know about the WHO convention this weekend? That started yesterday.
Yeah, be a bit careful. We're on YouTube.
Oh, sorry. The what can I call them? The Whoville people of Whoville.
Yeah, Whoville.
Oh,
yeah,
Whoville. Yes.
So what they're up to that they started yesterday, trying to get everybody to sign over all their sovereignty and in case of next emergency.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so far Brazil saying no way. I mean, there's definitely some people, countries holding out. I doubt either of ours is one of them. I mean, obviously people from our countries but unfortunately I don't see mine doing anything saying no, we're not doing that. But I mean, it's crazy, scary precedent happening. And back to the numerology thing real quickly, or the gematria. I thought about the significance of it starting on May 22nd, 2022.
Yeah.
You add it all together, you actually have 1122. So when you add 5, 2, 2, and 2 for the beginning of 2022, that's 11. And so it's 1122, which is like, they want to do something with that date. I mean, that's like very powerful in their minds. So they would definitely set off something like this. I mean, it just matches up so perfectly.
Yeah.
It's their calling card. You know who's behind this, right away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is an interesting one. Olaf Stone says Essex and Herts Cockneys are much stronger accents than London. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, because they call Essex estuary English, don't they? Yeah. It's all it's awful. But this is interesting. Who wants to live forever? Oh, that's so good, isn't it? I like that one. Hey, by God. Well, actually, we've got up to 2 hours now, or over 2 hours. So I think we've got to wind up. I'm sorry, I haven't been able to read everybody's comments out, but it's very kind of you in chat. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's anybody wants to add anything. Shannon, John, Deb, you okay? Which just leaves me to say a little cliffhanger, because I'm interviewing this Wednesday for my BitChute channel. David and Dawn on I'll have to say this in Cockney rhyming slang, what really makes you Tom and Dick.
Yes.
And what I'm hoping to do is, because I can't do it on YouTube, obviously, because of censorship, it's going to be recorded at 11 o'clock in the morning, or about 10 past 11 in the morning. But I'm hoping to go live at the same time on Facebook. Now, if you want to find out my Facebook name, my Facebook name is Peter Croft, believe it or not, because I did it years ago, and because I don't put my own real name down. So if you go onto the website, which is where are we? It is Rock'n'Roll Radio. There is actually a link there, and if you go onto Facebook and you want to sign up as a friend, I don't mind. You'll be able to listen to it live at about 11:15 this Wednesday with Dawn and David, who were talking about what John and I were talking about, that theory, which is it's not Germans, but if you get what I mean. Do you remember when we did that?
The Kraut theory.
Yes. So there we go. There it is. Well, before I sign off, next time I think I'll have Deb and Sebastian will be the moderators. Keep saying that. Hopefully I'll get Oliv's advert on. And if you like what you see, please give us a thumbs up and ding the little bell. Ding, 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 ding. And above all, the other thing is buy me a coffee. See, because it saves us, all three of us. And look, poor old Shannon there. She was busking as well. She's got the guitar there.
Hey, I'm close. I tell you that. It's not a bad idea.
When it gets up to a certain we'll share it out between all four of us.
Oh, great.
Right, so there we go. So if you want to buy a coffee, that's down there. And Bob did, which is very kind. And so did Haley. So it's very kind as well. Thank you very much. And we'll see you.
GNT. Thank you.
GNT, that's right. And he's back the same time, same place next week. And remember, we do read your comments, so don't worry. And also, remember, there's the additional show on Wednesday. But we'll definitely be back next Monday, same time, same place. And whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh.
Yeah,
everybody.
Night.
And good night. Thank you very much.
Night all.
Night.